It was a bright, sunny day. Mrs. Wolf woke up to the sound of her alarm. It was part of her daily routine to wake up her daughter. But when she opened the door to her daughter's room, Mrs. Wolf found herself in utter confusion. She glanced around here and there. She checked the bathroom and took a walk around the whole house before returning to Nicole's room. A sudden anxiety ran through Mrs. Wolf's mind. Panic had set in. There was no sign of Nicole anywhere. Mrs. Wolf ran to her room and shook her sleeping boyfriend Baldwin. Nervously, she alerted him of the situation. Baldwin pulled out of bed, rubbing the weariness off his eyes. He jumped into action. He inspected every inch of their home, but Nicole was nowhere to be seen. Frantically, Mrs. Wolf ran to her phone and called 911. She broke into an uncontrollable sob as she told the police her daughter was missing. Unfortunately, the officers weren't of much help. They kept repeating the same thing. It was too early to declare a person missing. It had yet to be 24 hours since Nicole was last seen. They told Mrs. Wolf to calm down. Her daughter would most likely return in a few hours. Mrs. Wolf tried her best to explain to the police that her daughter was only 9 years old, but all the police advised her was to hold her patience. Mrs. Wolf had no choice but to wait that day. She told her boyfriend to search the neighborhood. Baldwin went out to search in places where Nicole usually went. Baldwin returned home at around 1, still alone. The rest of that day went by miserably. Mrs. Wolf repeatedly looked out her window whenever she heard a car passing by. It was 10 at night, and Nicole still hadn't shown up. When a few days had gone by, the police started to take the disappearance seriously. Search parties set out all throughout San Francisco, California, where the family lived. Private investigators were informed. Small local media had caught on to the news, but all were unsuccessful in finding answers. When a few months had gone by, the case grew old, and although the police said they were still on the outlook, Mrs. Wolf knew they had stopped trying. Baldwin tried not to mention Nicole in front of his girlfriend, but Mrs. Wolf became awfully depressed. Her relationship with Baldwin soon ended. It seemed as if everyone had moved on. Everyone except for Nicole's mother, Mrs. Wolf. Somewhere in the small, rural town of Alamo, Nevada, a young woman waved her family goodbye before heading out for work. She took a deep breath and walked down the street towards the bookstore where she got a job. This was her first job, and so far, she enjoyed working there. It was busy during the rush hours, but other times it went by slow when the young woman spent her time reading books herself. The young woman unlocked the door to the bookstore. She picked up the newspaper from the mailbox and headed inside. Her usual morning routine at the store was to sit back and read the news while waiting for the first customer. The young woman flipped through the pages. An interesting report caught her eye. It's been nearly a decade. A mother still hasn't lost hope in searching for her missing daughter. The young woman looked at an old Christmas picture of herself along with her mother and her mother's boyfriend at the time, Jerry. She's still looking for me? Nicole thought. Nicole remembered that frightening night she went missing. She didn't know what she had escaped from, but she saw something terrifying that prompted her to run away. It was a raining, thundering night. Young Nicole was having trouble sleeping. Seeking comfort, she tiptoed to her mother's room. She was afraid to wake up her mother's boyfriend, Baldwin. Nicole didn't like him. As a matter of fact, Nicole never liked any of her mother's boyfriends. Nicole had never seen her father. Her mother told her that he passed away before her birth. Growing up, Nicole remembered her mother had went through 3 or 4 breakups before she left that house at the age of 9. Nicole slowly turned the knob of her mother's bedroom door. The room was dark, but the curtains were slightly open and allowed in the moonlight. Nicole saw her mother standing beside the bed. Baldwin was deep asleep. Nicole was about to step inside when she noticed something unusual about her mother. She could vaguely make out horns protruding from her mother's head. Nicole was terrified. Just then, her mother caught a glimpse of her. She turned around in a flash. Nicole saw something she could never have imagined. Her mother looked at her with bright red eyes. Her nails ran long and pointy from her hands. Wings expanded from her back. Nicole was thundered. What was she? Nicole took a step back. She was frozen in fear. Nicole had the instinct to make a run for it. But despite having noticed her, Nicole's mother turned back around and returned her focus to Baldwin. Nicole was shaking. She took the chance and ran out of the house. She didn't know where she was going, and she didn't know what would happen to her, but there was no way she was returning back home. It wasn't safe. What had happened to her mother? She didn't know what was waiting for her in her own home. When it was near dawn, Nicole had no clue where she was, but she was still close enough for her mother to find her. She had no money. Where would she go? That's when Nicole spotted a dairy truck. On the right opportunity, she slipped into the back, out of notice of the workers. The truck took off. Nicole didn't know where it was headed, but she hoped it would take her far. Nicole scrunched up in the corner. She listened to the glass containers clanking in the motion of the truck. She soon fell asleep. Nicole woke up to the sound of men murmuring. She was frightened when she saw a crowd gathered around her. An elderly woman came out of the crowd and said, "Dear, how did you get here?" Nicole stuttered, Where am I?" "You're in Alamo, Nevada. What is your name, child?" "I'm Nicole Wagner." Nicole had intentionally lied about her name. She didn't want the woman to call the police and send her back home. When Nicole got out of the truck, she realized she was in the middle of nowhere, at what looked like a farm. The elderly woman ushered Nicole to follow. She took her to her husband and told her about Nicole's situation. The old couple was kind and offered Nicole food, drink, and a place to rest before they would call the police and get her help. Nicole didn't want to go back home. She was afraid for when the police would come. When the police arrived, Nicole gave all the wrong information. She told them she didn't know her address since she recently moved, and she made up her mother's name. The old couple told the police they would shelter her until her family was found. But of course, the police were unable to find Nicole's real mother. Days, weeks, months were going by like this. The old couple tried to console Nicole and comforted her. Over time, they accepted Nicole as one of their own, and it was like Nicole had become part of the family. Nicole started a new life in Alamo, where she felt safe. When she turned 16, she convinced the elderly woman to allow her to get a job. That's when Nicole started working at the nearby bookstore. Nicole looked at the report. Why was her mother still looking for her? Was it because she missed her? Or was it because Nicole was witness to her mother's secret? Sometimes Nicole wondered if anyone else knew. Did her mother's boyfriends know? Was that the reason behind the breakups? Because they too had seen what Nicole had seen? Nicole shrugged. Whatever the reason, she had no wishes to go back. Today, she had told the elderly woman she would be home a little late. She was meeting a friend after work. Nicole went to her friend Jenna's house. They had been friends for a few years now and had become quite close. Jenna was moving to California next year for college. I can't wait to get out of here and live on my own in the city, in California, get a boyfriend. Nicole rolled her eyes. I don't know why you're always so excited about California. I'm happy here at home in Alamo, and I'd rather not get involved with a man and have my heart broken. I've seen this happen a bunch of times. They use you and they leave you. Come on, Nicole, you can't stay single forever. It's your birthday tomorrow, right? We're going out. I want you to meet one of my guy friends. No thanks. Oh, I know why. It's your condition. You know it's kind of funny that you're turning 17 and still stuck in a body of a 10-year-old. Maybe that's why you're not into dating. Shh, Jenna, I told you that was a secret. I went to the doctor, they said it was absolutely fine. Some people just reach that stage a little late. Nicole tried to shut Jenna up, but this was something Jenna always teased her about. Nicole still looked like, well, a girl. She had grown tall and broad, but she still hadn't reached what you call womanhood yet. Nicole spent the evening at Jenna's before she got back to the barn house. The elderly woman had baked her a cake to celebrate the occasion. Nicole was happy. She was amongst such kind-hearted people. Nicole was deeply grateful to the elderly man and woman who had taken responsibility of her and cared for her. She had no blood relationship with them whatsoever, but they were closer than family. Nicole went to sleep that night, happy and content with her life. In the middle of the night, however, something kept bothering her. She tossed from side to side. It felt like something was crawling under her skin. She had a terrifying nightmare. She saw that same demon again. It was her mother. Her mother laughed menacingly and repeated the same words. It rang in Nicole's ears. The time has come. The time has come. Nicole jumped up from her sleep. She was sweating, anxious. She hated to see what she had run away from years ago. All she wished for these past 8 years was for her real family to forget her. She wondered if the dream had any meaning. Nicole got out of bed. It was exactly 12. Her head was hurting. There was a piercing pain in her upper and lower back. She brushed her hair back when she felt something on the side of her forehead. She ran to the mirror. Nicole glanced at herself. What was happening? Nicole stumbled back in horror. She recognized a familiar form. There was no use of running away. It ran in her blood. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.